Quick recap, because my other camera, I failed to realize that it's not recording the sound right. But what we're doing here is we're actually going to build the first sharigi. I've got some different blueprints that I had found on the internet that goes through all the swords. Let's try to rifle through them here real quick. Here you can see. I will post these up with the link to tell you guys where I got it all. The materials that I'm using is a basic knife. I've got some real thin, you can see real thin plastic that I found at Menards. It is a .06 thick. There's some 3mm craft foam and basic tools. You can see I've got a lot of different tools. I will list everything that all the tools that I've used to help make it easier. I do have some of it built already, as you guys can see. Like I said, my camera stopped working on me. What I've done here is I basically drew out the main sword and I cut it out 2 times, obviously, and then I took a metal piece and I bent it at this angle and I laid it, let's see, at this ridge, and I bent it all the way as I glued it. So this kind of marked it, so I have an even bend here all the way. Did that twice. Gluing this seam along here, I used a hot glue gun. It was just what I had at the time. It doesn't look like hot glue this because I took a white silicone caulk and I caulked it, and I will explain that later when it comes. I put 2 dowel rods on it to help keep the edge straight when I put the 2 halves together. And you can see here I put 2 magnets side by side and used an epoxy glue, and I basically glued over the entire thing. The reason I'm using 2 of the magnets, because you can see here, like screw my scissors, is I ordered 100 magnets. They're pretty small, but they pull about 5 pounds a piece. So I put 2, so I have a 10-pound pull. That's what I have done. I'm about to glue it together. The hilt here I have made of the same small plastic, and what I did on this is I took the plastic and I glued it to the 3mm craft foam to give it, as you can see, that 3D'd edge look. And I just glued that in a basic box. Okay, yeah, that's my 30-minute epoxy. So I'll show you that to you real quick. Oops. I am sorry if this video is a little messed up. I'm trying to do a quick recap. Okay, what I'm about to do now is I'm going to take some Power Grab by Locketite all-purpose, and I'm going to put it in this edge here. The reason I'm not using hot glue for this part is because I found out that the hot glue on this plastic will actually warp my edge. So I'm going to use a cold glue. So I'm about to do that. So, okay, what I just done is I glued both halves together. Try to get a good shot of this without moving it fully, but you can see I got a nice diamond shape in there. I can't move it because I just put it together. And you can run along the edge here. You can see it's a little uneven here at the tip, but that's not a big deal. I'd try to make this as smooth. You know, get all the excess glue off as you go. Just get as smooth as possible. That'll help later on. So now we'll just wait for the glue to dry, and hopefully that'll hold it together like I want to, and we'll move on to the next step after that dries. Some of you may have noticed my Buster sword here in the background. Yeah, I have one. If you want, I will explain how to make that later. Okay, sorry, my car. We've got this glued together, both sides. The magnets are inside, the dowel rods are inside. As you can see, for the most part, we got a pretty nice edge, which I messed up right here on the end a little bit, where it's not as bad as it looks, but it's a little messed up. But what I'm going to do now is glue the tip together, and for that, all I'm going to do is basically, can't do this with one hand, but I'm going to overlap them. So this one goes under and this one's on top. Overlap them a little bit, pinch them together to give it that slight downward curve. I'm going to do that to both sides, and I'm going to glue this together. You can see it's trim all that off. That's about what I'm going to do now. Okay, so we got our piece glued together here. You see it's not the best work I've ever done, but I'm hoping that I can trim it up here in a little bit and make it look nicer. The next step that we're going to do is to put the dowel rod in. You may be wondering how we're going to do this with an empty shell. Well, the reason I told you guys to seal up your edges the best you could is because what I'm going to attempt to do is to take a great stuff. It's a window and door foam. I wanted to use AB foam, like a low expanded AB foam, but I can only order it off the net. I don't want to do that, and then plus it's pretty expensive stuff. This you can pick up for like $4 a can, $4 or $5 a can. It's a lot better. So we're going to use a low expanding instead of a high expanding, because I'm afraid that the high expanding will just bloat, well, make our sword look real bloated or bad or something like that, I guess you want to say. So that's where we're going to use the low. So I'm actually going to put the dowel rod into the center here. I'm going to build some braces to hold the dowel rod right in the middle, and we're going to fill it with foam. And I'll show you how to do that by all the way down. I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. So first we're going to build the brace here. Okay, where we left you, I was building the brace to fill this with the foam. And as you can see here, I've just built a basic 4-way brace. I just hot glued it into place just real quick to support the dowel rod. The reason, I double clamped it and I put some string out just to hold it upright, just because upright's easier for me. The reason I'm going to fill it with foam is the 2mm, or sorry, not 2, this 0.06 thick plastic. It is pretty durable. I mean, I don't know if I could show you. I can't really. It's hard to do by myself. You can see it's actually pretty sturdy, but I just want it filled with foam because it is a hollow and it will help me hold my handle because this is easier for me, and also because I know I'm going to be holding the sword a lot, and it's just going to make it a lot more durable as long as the foam doesn't, it doesn't destroy. Now, that's enough of my ranting. How to get the foam all the way down at the bottom of the sword is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is buy a little bit of tubing, and it'll fit. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. It'll fit right over the end of the straw, and you'll push it up in there, and then you just have it extended way out. Let me do this real quick and I'll show you. Okay, I just put the end on there. You can see it fits nice and snug. You don't want it too loose, obviously, otherwise you have foam spraying out on your hand. The next step is just to take the length of this, put it down all the way at the bottom, fill it with foam, and we'll see what happens. See if it helps the sword or if it just completely destroys it. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, something important I found out that I did not know before is that the low expanding foam won't quite push it through such a long tube. It'll get about halfway and then just kind of pitter the rest of the way. You can see I made a huge mess with all the foam. I got it all over me, myself, my hands, everywhere. But I do believe that I managed to fill it about halfway before it stopped working correctly. And then after that, I just eventually, I'm hoping that I got all of it full. I'm hoping if I didn't, it'll at least expand out. I know it's a low expanding, but I'm hoping it'll expand out each a little bit just to help fill it all the way up. If not, well, I'm kind of screwed now. But yeah, I got my dowel rod supported in there. The foam is so sticky that it will literally grab the dowel rod and not let it move once this foam is fully cured. So now we just wait until this dries. I believe we have to wait a 24-hour dry time. I'm not sure. At least that's what the other foams were. So now we wait and we'll see what happens.